I think speaking to someone who's, I'll put this politely, more mature, who's been around the block. I mean, I think I'm mature. You know, a lot of the time I speak to the younger people who have a completely different take and more, I guess, more present take on where photography sits in the world and where videography
What
sits.
year were you born?
82.
82.
40, just turned 42.
So it's, on the edge of the digital explosion.
When you're sitting with your teaching hat on, do you ever talk about misunderstandings of photography? I think we touched upon them a little bit, but there seemed to be just a maze of myths surrounding photography, certainly in the social media world. Is that great at you, or do you even notice those kind of things?
Give me an example.
Well, the technical side. I mean, I've just done a course on how equipment should not matter really at all when it comes to photography, but there is a myth out there that I need the latest this, and we're sold that, right? I'm not blaming the individuals.
That's still going on?
Oh yeah, it's the next camera, it's this, you need this accessory, you need this accessory.
I mean, sometimes I'm in the camera shop and I'm kind of lusting after this camera or lens, and and I'm thinking, I better. Well, next month I'll have the money for this or whatever, and some kid comes in and buys the whole shelf, and I'm like, "Oh, Daddy's rich,"
Yeah.
But I think to a certain extent, but I got some interesting lessons because I worked with some great photographers. I worked with René Burri, I worked with Brune Barbe, I worked with Ragurai, alongside them, and
before you go on, how did you get that kind of access?
Well, that I just lucked out because in the 80s, I was living here, struggling, doing photography. I was doing the stuff I was doing for Bali Post first, and then for Mutiara and stuff. So, and then this who became my publisher, this guy came up to me, a French guy, Didier, through a guy who became my business partner for a while, Leonard Lueras, and they said, "Hey, would you like to work with us? We want to put some stuff together." And so Leonard was hot to do this book. Leonard was always full of puns. He called this book Bali High. It was an aerial book. Yeah, it's Bali High. Okay. So there we were, and we got, Leonard was this guy, he still is around, but he was such a character. I remember going into Tommy Suharto's conference room, for Qatari. Qatari was a helicopter company. And Leonard's wearing a bright Hawaiian shirt with a pinstripe jacket, like a suit jacket on top, and shades on. This is in the conference room. And this guy could sound. And I'm sitting there thinking, basically we're screwed. He's just walked into this, and they're all fascinated by him. Like they're just, and he sells this project, and we got something crazy like 100 helicopter hours. And in those days, an hour was $800. That's basic, after the high, the aviation fuel. And we got this gig, we did this book from Java right through to Bali, and later on I did another one, but further. There's lots of stories there, but so I got on in this book, and so I was doing aerial photography all of a sudden, and I loved it. It was just it was cool.
Is that the same photo essay that's on your website?
There might be an old one there.
Okay.
Yeah, from that. But anyway. So then it progressed, and Didier was very keen to do another book, and it was called Bali Style. And by this time, I was such a snot. I said, I don't want to take pictures of rich people's houses. I'm a documentarian. You have to do this, Rio. This is the book. So I did it. And then the next thing that unrolled from there were these books were we did 7 Days in the Kingdom, Thailand, with 50 photographers from around the world. So I got into the circuit. So I interacted with all these people. And then we did, I was chief photographer for the Indonesia book, Voice of the Archipelago. And that's how I got to know René when he was coming. And then there was all the Magnum guys, Abbas and all those guys. So we retained our connection. So there was Abbas and a few, and we had this underground club called the ABC, the Asian Bad Boys Club. And it was like Abbas insisted on being the president. And every 3 months, somebody would get fired, or
Oh, wow.
there'd be a coup, and Abbas would, it was just ridiculous stuff. But it was a friendship, a real friendship.
Yeah.
And then there were people like Raghu Rai, who had met in 1984, 85 in India, both covering this huge event, Buddhist event. So it was, I somehow was lucky that way, So I had all this contact with all these people.